So I'm right now walking to the Pont des Arts, and it is unbelievably sunny and warm and glorious in Paris. There's a big old boat going by behind me. I'm at the Seine, and I'm wow, I just feel transformed. I don't want to say the words, I don't believe it, because I do believe it, but where I was 2 months ago, it feels like I can't believe it. You know, like from that point, looking forward, if you had told me that this is where I would be, I would have been like, okay, all right, if you say so. If I can do it, that would be great. The thing is, one of the things that I've learned, and I really honestly think that this is the key, is that when we're doing our work, we've got to do a combination of shadow work and light work. So I get a lot of my understanding from Teal Swan and from Abraham Hicks. They have two different messages that they deliver. Teal is very much about owning yourself in your entirety. She's walked on the dark side, she's lived on the light side, and she really teaches about being who you are and taking responsibility for who you are and taking responsibility for your feelings. Abraham, through Esther Hicks, is very much about getting your thoughts in alignment with what you want and settling for nothing else. My problem with Abraham is that they don't do any shadow work, you know? I was watching a video today and I think they said something like, yeah, no, just change your thoughts. You know, you basically need to focus on what it is you want, and even though you might feel bad, you want to change the way you're thinking so that you feel good. So look, my problem with that is that to me puts me in a state of denial, and I'm not into denying anything. To me, that leads to beliefs that I'm holding on to that are out of alignment with what I want, and I don't think that's helpful at all. So that's when I go into this deep work that Teal does, where she's like, you need to do your shadow work, you need to go through the completion process, you need to understand that you've been traumatized as a kid. When you were a little kid, when people said things bad to you or mean to you, that was traumatizing for you, you know? And I really appreciate the work that Teal has done around that, and I've taken it to heart and I've studied it, and I've, gone further and really done my own work around this stuff. And the thing that I found is that every day I have to be in control of my thoughts. Not in control to the point where I have to be focused on a certain thing, but I have to be in awareness and full awareness of what I'm thinking at any given moment. And when my thoughts are negative and dark, I can't just change them. This is where I differ from Abraham. I'm not going to just change my thoughts. What I'm going to do is understand why I'm having these negative thoughts, and then I'm going to do that work that Teal does, where she's like, going into your shadow work or take yourself through the completion process. That's what I'm going to do. So when I'm walking down the street and I'm ruminating on something, my thoughts go kind of dark, and if I'm sitting there having these negative conversations in my head, and I'm focused on what's wrong, and I'm chewing on a problem, and I'm not being solutions oriented in particular, that's not helping me. That's not going to get me to what I desire. And that's a fucking big waste of time. Why would I want to be spending time ruminating on something that's never helped anybody ever? Not in one time have you ruminated on something. I'm talking about rumination where you're just sunk into a feeling and you're just turning it over and over and over again. That hasn't helped you ever. But what has helped is to say, oh, I see myself looking at myself in a negative way, and I have a negative pattern of thinking. Why do I have this negative pattern of thinking? Well, I'm going to go into my body and see how I feel. This is where Teal is excellent. She has so many videos about how to feel your body, how to feel your feelings, how to trace the pattern of emotions. So when I stop, when I have those negative thoughts and I stop and I feel myself, I might notice, oh, my groin is twitching on the left side, you know, like this part of my belly and my thigh and my hip, that's all twitching. When I stop and I see what's going on there, the first thing that comes up to me, it feels like, I'm going to just do it as an example right now. What's going on for me? Because I am having a little bit of a twitch over here. And the first image that came into my mind was a bright and shiny penny and an image of an ex-boyfriend. So my work is to not skip over those feelings that are going on that are subtle. If I were just walking down the street and ruminating, I'd be ignoring that. But instead, I've become aware of what I'm thinking, and I've decided that I don't want to just keep thinking that, and I'm not going to suppress it and just change my thoughts, start thinking about something else. Instead, what I'm going to do is see what's going on in my body. My body says there's something going on with you and your old boyfriend, an old memory that wants to be released, or some kind of wounding that happened with an old boyfriend. So I'm going to go ahead and do some work on that. I'm going to do my shadow work. I'm going to journal. I'm going to talk to myself. I'm going to be present with that feeling. And then what I notice that happens after I've done that is I feel a lot better. So 10 minutes spent on getting to the real core issue makes me feel better, and then voila, my thoughts are different. So I didn't do some kind of generic, oh, I'm going to just change my thoughts thing. No, I went in, I did my shadow work, I found out what was really going on with me, answered that, responded to that, and then that is parenting yourself. That's being a good parent. That is taking care of yourself. That is self-compassion, and that is self-love, and that is how you change your vibration. That is how you make a change from being a person who is at the whim of their body, and they don't know why, they don't know what's going on around them. They're, you know, working from the outside, versus someone who's working from the inside, who's feeling their feelings, and then working with their thoughts in a constructive way to change their feelings. All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and sign off because I'm going to run out of juice. But this is Crystalline checking in along the River Seine. Do you see that big old barge behind me? Big old beautiful barge on the Seine. Sun is shining. And there's an art exhibit behind me. And I'm ready for my Bonjour Paris retreat. I'm ready. I'm so fucking ready. I'm ready. 12 women and me. That's 13 of us hanging out in Paris, making sure we rock.